I've seen a lot of videos that have expressed what are the best case scenarios about what you should encounter while working on a solar site. But what about the worst case scenarios that you could experience? Hey, I'm David here with Lumen Energy, and we're on a job site right now. We're getting ready to start the work for installing a 5 kilowatt system. In this situation, we'll be working on rehabbing a building. We'll be actually working with some partners that'll be gutting the entire facility. The entire roof needs to be replaced, and I'm going to take you on a journey into the steps, the do's and the don'ts of a building that is in the worst shape. So stay tuned.
As a preliminary step, one of the first items that needs to be checked off your list is to gather any general information about the site, like the address, local permitting and jurisdiction information, and any conditions that we should be made aware of before going to visit. Fortunately, we'd been looped into the project months ago and had all of that covered. Next, you'll want to use a tool to get an aerial view of the property. In our case, we used both Google Earth and Google's Project Sunroof to get an accurate satellite image. This is important to get a better understanding of the maximum amount of solar incidence for the new system. It also allows us to accurately scout for any potential future issues, such as trees, blockages, etc. As I shared earlier, the building is in a state of disrepair, and adjacent teams that specialize in mold, lead, and asbestos remediation, as well as rehab, will need to be called in to do their jobs before we can fully do ours.
So one of the first steps that you need to cover is make sure that you call ahead to schedule an appointment with the property owner. In this case, it would be our partners. Secondly, you want to make sure that you take as many precautions as possible. As you see, I already have my hard hat, I have my vest, and I have some other PPE equipment that I'll be putting on shortly once we enter the facility. Because properties like these have been sitting dormant for upwards of 10 years or so. So you face the risk of mold, other hazards that could be occupationally related, and you want to make sure that you and your team are as safe as possible. Due to the condition of the roof, we won't be able to actually get on it today, but over the next few phases, we'll actually show you how everything works out. So, one of the first things that is critical when doing a solar site survey is to conduct a thorough walk around to test the integrity of the walls. Number one, because the walls are going to be doing most of the structural support for the roof itself, and as well as the solar panels and the mounting equipment subsequently.
When inspecting the perimeter of a building, especially one this old, you want to look for any obvious signs of wear and tear, cracks in the foundation, and structural damage from top to bottom.
So one of the immediate things that I see is going to be an issue is this massive tree. The tree is it's overlooking our building. So we're going to have to either get that trimmed or cut down.
Throughout the solar site survey, you generally want to take a good amount of photos to share with the team. Throughout the process, you want to make sure to take clear, high-resolution images in landscape mode, making sure to photograph anything that stands out, like structural damage or job impediments. This is a good idea because it gives the team a feel of what it's like to be on site. The goal of a good solar site surveyor is to relay sufficient communication for the rest of the team to do their jobs. The last thing that you want to have to do is to go back out for a second survey. Now, it's not a perfect analogy, but measure twice and cut once seems to drive the point home. As we make our way around the back, the next place we want to visit is the electrical meter. We want to get a close-up of the readings and the overall condition of the conduits and surrounding area. Another critical component is to get a copy of the last electric bill from the property owner. The reason for this is for understanding historical energy usage, estimating solar system size, financial analysis, and savings estimates. It also covers net metering and solar incentives, depending on your state, as well as the rate structure to determine whether the facility uses a flat, tiered, time of use, or demand charges.
Alrighty, so we have just been granted access to the building. I'm here with the lovely friend of mine, Kara Kennedy, and Jack. So Kara, if you want to give a quick synopsis of what we're about to do, then I'll put my mask back on.
This is a massive eyesore of a building, but we're gonna turn it into a beautiful training facility for young adults in the community here. And so we're gonna look at what we have to work with, the before, and then we're gonna come back in a few months and you're gonna see the after.
Thank you. Let's get to it.
While we do a sped up walkthrough of the facility, let me introduce you to my awesome friend Kara. Kara is the fearless leader and executive director of Lumity, a STEM workforce development organization for young adults based in Chicago. She and the Lumity team have been doing amazing work in the community for a long time. They recently just celebrated their 40th anniversary. My organization, Lumina Energy, and I were chosen not only to install the solar system, but to become their solar training partners. So, it's worth mentioning that this video is not just a rooftop solar site survey tutorial, but it's also the first step in the development of a new STEMworks program. In the near future, my organization and others will provide STEM-based trade career training to young adults. But for now, let's get back to the mission at hand.
As much as we can, because the premise of doing this is, of course, to actually make some documentation for Safi and Jeff to actually do the solar design.
Okay.
But also for the YouTube channel, we want to make sure that we're kind of sharing all the cool projects that we're working on. And in this case, we realized that this is a worst case scenario. I mean, it's like if you go online, you see people going into updated houses and so forth.
Right.
But this is the case where it's a total tear down.
It is.
Like everything needs to be redone, refurbished, thrown out. And this is, I think it's going to be a really, really popular segment, because who talks about these kinds of things?
Right,
Yeah.
right. I mean, you can just see.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like that sort of thing, don't you?
Yeah,
You
it's
like those shows all the time.
this old home, right?
He was laughing at me. I've been on this kick lately. I should say it was over a couple weeks, where I was just watching over in Europe, like castles that have been abandoned.
So at this point, we're wrapping up our preliminary survey of the area to compile photos of the current condition of the building and also assess the amount of damage done to the electrical system. Because if it wasn't clear already, everything will need a full overhaul, inside and out. It appears as though there is power in the building, but turning anything on would most likely result in our collective fiery demise. So we won't be doing that.
Oh, here we go. Okay, here's the panel box.
In the far left-hand corner, I finally locate the fuse box, as well as a bypass for multiple circuits. Let's snap a few images of them. By now, I think we've gotten as much preliminary info as we're going to get. And had I known the condition was going to be this bad, I would have packed better face masks. It goes without saying that we'll be back soon, but our team has sufficient data to work with to start working on the solar system design, shading analysis, load analysis, hourly production, and so on. We'll just have to wait for the other teams to make the place beautiful again, and then it'll be our time to shine. Pun intended. At this point, we exit the building, we say goodbye to Kara and Jack, and conduct a team wrap-up.
I hope that this tutorial has been helpful. As you can see, this is a worst case scenario that you would face, about as bad as it gets in terms of full tear down, walking into a building sight unseen with all kinds of things that need to be updated, from asbestos removal to lead. I mean, there's no lighting whatsoever. All of the outlets need to be updated. But hopefully you found this helpful. Make sure to like and subscribe, and look out for part 2. All right, bye-bye.